Imagine a queen so powerful, so central to her husband's reign, that she was depicted as his equal, a goddess on earth, a woman whose name meant the beautiful one has come, and whose face captured in a 3,300-year-old bust remains one of the most iconic images from the ancient world. This is the story of Nefertiti, the queen who didn't just stand beside a king, she helped him build a revolution. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're journeying back to the sands of ancient Egypt, to the 18th dynasty, to unravel the mystery of one of history's most enigmatic and influential women, Queen Nefertiti. Her story is one of power, love, radical change, and a disappearance that still puzzles historians today. To understand Nefertiti, we must first understand the man she married, Pharaoh Amenhotep IV, who would later become the infamous Akhenaten. When they ascended to the throne, Egypt was a polytheistic society, worshipping a vast pantheon of gods led by the powerful Amun-Ra. The priests of Amun held immense wealth and political influence, often rivaling the pharaoh himself. But Akhenaten had a different vision. He wasn't just going to reform Egypt's religion, he was going to tear it down and rebuild it from scratch. And at the heart of this audacious plan was his great royal wife, Nefertiti. Nefertiti wasn't just Akhenaten's wife, she was his partner in every sense of the word. Her origins are a bit murky. While her name is Egyptian, some scholars suggest she might have been a foreign princess, perhaps from the Mitanni kingdom, which could explain her unique influence. Whatever her background, from the moment Akhenaten began his revolution, Nefertiti was by his side. When he changed his name from Amenhotep IV to Akhenaten, meaning effective for the Aten, and declared the sun disk, the Aten, as the one true god, Nefertiti was there. Together, they abandoned Thebes, the traditional capital, and built a brand new city out in the desert, a place they called Akhetaten, the horizon of the Aten. This city was their utopia, dedicated solely to their new god. And in the art and inscriptions of Akhetaten, something extraordinary happened. For centuries, royal wives were depicted as small, secondary figures, standing demurely behind their pharaoh husbands, but not Nefertiti. In carvings across the new city, she is shown at the same height as Akhenaten. This was a radical statement, signaling that she shared his divine status and his political power. She was his co-regent, not just his consort. The imagery was unprecedented. We see Nefertiti wearing the blue war crown, typically reserved for a pharaoh. We see her driving her own chariot in processions. In temple reliefs, she is depicted in the classic pharaonic pose of smiting Egypt's enemies, a role exclusive to the king. Most significantly, she is shown making offerings directly to the Aton, an act that traditionally only the pharaoh could perform. She and Akhenaten were positioned as the sole intermediaries between humanity and the Aton. The message to the people of Egypt was unmistakable. To worship the Aton, you had to go through them. One famous relief, a small stela meant for a private home shrine, beautifully captures their unique family dynamic. Akhenaten sits on one side, holding one daughter, while Nefertiti sits opposite him, holding two others. The rays of the Aten, ending in tiny hands, reach down to bless only them. In this intimate scene, Nefertiti's hand rests gently on her husband's shoulder. They weren't just a royal couple, they were a holy trinity with the Aten, and she was an essential part of that divine connection. Together they had 6 daughters, Mereteten, Meketaten, and Kasenpatan, who would later marry Tutankhamun, Neferneferuten, Tasherot, Neferneferia, and Setipinet. The constant depiction of their daughters in loving, informal family scenes was another revolutionary break from the stiff, formal art of previous dynasties. But while the family was blessed with daughters, a critical piece was missing: a son. For a dynasty to continue, a male heir was essential. Yet Akhenaten never took another principal wife. Nefertiti remained his one and only great royal wife, a testament to her importance. Then, around the 12th year of Akhenaten's 17-year reign, something changes. After being a constant, powerful presence for over a decade, Nefertiti suddenly seems to vanish from the official record. Her name stops appearing on new monuments. Some of her images are even defaced or replaced. The queen who was everywhere is suddenly nowhere. So, what happened to Nefertiti? This is one of ancient Egypt's greatest unsolved mysteries, and historians have 3 main theories. The first and perhaps simplest theory is that she died. Around this time, a devastating plague swept through Akhenaten. We know for certain that it claimed the life of at least one of their daughters. Meketaten, as her mourning scene is vividly depicted in the royal tomb. It's entirely possible that Nefertiti also fell victim to this illness. Her sudden absence from the records could simply be a reflection of her untimely death. The second theory suggests a more dramatic fall from grace. Did the lack of a male heir finally cause a rift between the royal couple, or perhaps Nefertiti disagreed with the increasingly zealous and dogmatic direction of Akhenaten's religious reforms? Some Egyptologists propose that, as Akhenaten's rule became more extreme, he may have cast her aside in favor of a secondary wife, Kia, or even one of his own daughters, who could potentially provide him with a son. In this scenario, Nefertiti would have lived out her days in disgrace, erased from public life. But there's a third, an increasingly popular theory that is far more intriguing. This theory suggests that Nefertiti didn't disappear at all. Instead, she was elevated. Right around the time Nefertiti vanishes, a new co-ruler appears in the records, ruling alongside Akhenaten. This ruler's name was Neferneferuten. For a long time, scholars were puzzled by this figure's identity. But growing evidence now strongly suggests that Neferneferuten was none other than Nefertiti herself, who had adopted a new throne name and taken on the full role of a pharaoh, ruling as a co-king with her husband. This would explain why she disappeared as Queen Bee, because she had become a king. This would also make her one of the most powerful women to have ever lived. Transitioning from queen consort to co-regent, and finally to a full-fledged pharaoh in her own right. Some believe she may have even continued to rule for a few years after Akhenaten's death, trying to navigate the turbulent political waters and perhaps even attempting to reconcile with the old priesthood of Amun. And what of her famous bust? The masterpiece that has made her face immortal was discovered in 1912 in the workshop of a sculptor named Thutmose in the ruins of Akhenaten. It was a model, likely used for creating other official portraits. The fact that it was left unfinished and abandoned in the workshop suggests it was created near the end of the Amarna period, perhaps hidden away as the city was dismantled and the old gods were restored. After Akhenaten's death, his revolution crumbled. His city was abandoned, his temples were torn down, and his name, along with Nefertiti's, was chiseled away from monuments in an attempt to erase their heresy from history. And Nefertiti herself vanishes completely. Her tomb has never been definitively found. Her mummy has never been identified. She was the power behind the Sun King, the beautiful face of a new faith, and a ruler who shattered tradition. Whether she died, was disgraced, or ruled as a pharaoh, her legacy endures. That iconic bust in the Berlin Museum is more than just a pretty face. It's the face of a revolutionary. A queen who helped build an empire of the sun, only to be lost in its shadow. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the life of the incredible Nefertiti. What do you think happened to her? Let me know your theories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next historical deep dive. Until next time, stay curious.